Hey everyone, welcome to this weekend Sidereal Astrology forecast. This is for September 21st to the 23rd of 2018. All right, so this weekend we have, first of all, we're approaching a full moon, which will be Monday and Tuesday. So this weekend, the energy is sort of increasing, maybe some awareness coming in, and just a great weekend for doing a bit of a status check in our life. But Friday, the moon is going to be in Capricorn, so on that day, really good for doing things that require discipline, that patient, long-term perspective. When we get to Saturday, Sunday, the moon enters Aquarius. So those 2 days are really good for expressing our unique self, our individuality, and maybe getting in touch with the progressive and innovative aspects of life. We do have a lot of aspects with Mercury this weekend, mostly Saturday and Sunday. One's going to be in opposition up to Chiron, so maybe some healing taking place in terms of our perspective on things, maybe communication, maybe in those relationships. And then particularly Sunday, Mercury is going to be squaring up to Saturn and trining Mars. So on that day, there could be a bit of reserve or having to work within our limitations regarding communication and thinking matters. But there is a really good directness and assertiveness available with that as well. All right, so let's take a look at all of this here in more detail when we return. All right, so let's go ahead and break this down one day at a time for the weekend. Again, we are using the actual visible sky on this YouTube channel, which does change the signs from mainstream astrology. So if you do notice some of the signs I'm mentioning are different, it's because we are using the actual size of the constellations, which does change the signs. All right, so Friday, let's go ahead and start with that day. The moon will be finishing Capricorn. This was the case on Thursday as well. So themes likely around what does require responsibility, or a bit of a healthy level of detachment, maybe feeling this way, maybe feeling emotionally reserved. And so because of that, a great day for seeing the long-term perspective, right? The patient, disciplined, responsible approach, really good for cultivating that Capricorn energy on Friday in particular. Now this is going to be also easing up off of this Mercury conjunct the Sun we had on Thursday. So going into Friday, there could be a bit of this combust energy. This is the energy where there could be a lot of maybe fire or just straight energy behind our mind, maybe making it hard to think, or maybe there's a lot of automatic thinking, and maybe this need to express ourselves and communicate. And maybe there's a lot of busy energy just generally in your routine. So whatever this kind of energy is behind these practical matters, and maybe this bit of short circuit energy, this is going to be easing up on Friday, and especially once we get into Saturday, we'll be off of that conjunction within that orb. But it does make it a great day on Friday, along with that reserve and discipline to express, to write things down, to maybe come up with plans, maybe use some of that energy or what could be creativity or ideas and channeling it into productive and conscious ways. All right, so that's the energy on Friday. Then once we shift into Saturday, the moon is going to be going into Aquarius. So this makes it Saturday and Sunday great days for accessing our individuality, right? So themes likely around this, expressing ourselves, expressing our uniqueness, and because of this, our unique role in our community or in the world at large, or maybe with our friends and our network circles, right? So there could be themes pertaining to how we fit in the collective, larger collective. So this is a great day for progressive energy, future-oriented energy, and again, this individual self-expression with the moon here. So on Saturday, we will have Mercury opposite up to Chiron. This is also involving the Sun because they are very close to each other. So this is a little bit on the minor side. Chiron, we don't usually feel it that impactfully, but it can make it a great weekend for healing. And I would say particularly in the context of healing any of our perspectives or views with Mercury. And with oppositions, this can come across often as a sort of mirroring effect from our environment or from our relationships or someone else. So if any wounds do come up that are reflected back to us from our outer reality or from relationships, it's really good to A, be aware of them, and then B, accept them, right? Accept the wounds and maybe go into those wounds, right? And that could be very healing and empowering, actually. So if any wounds do arise, usually with Chiron, really good to go into the wounds, you know, maybe here with the communication, maybe with the self-expression, and in this way can make it a very rejuvenating kind of weekend with that. And it all has to do with both becoming aware of the wounds, which are again from within, being reflected without, and the acceptance of them that then helps us work with them and heal them and do things that we otherwise maybe wouldn't do because of those wounds. All right, so really good way of working with that energy. Now, once we get into Sunday, the moon will still be in Aquarius. So again, themes pertaining to individual self-expression, how we fit in the larger collective, that future-oriented mind, really good for cultivating also our personal future ideals and aspirations. But along with this, Mercury is going to be squaring up to Saturn and trining up to Mars as we approach Monday. So with the Saturn side of it, it's a bit very different energy here, right? And this, again, both have to do with our mind, perhaps communication and routine. So with the square to Saturn, there can be a bit of limitation here with these matters, or feeling a bit limited, maybe limited with the mind, maybe a bit of serious thinking or heavy thinking, right? And maybe with those communications, and maybe feeling that sort of limitation perhaps with the routine. So the best way of working with Saturn squares, from what we know, is to always be conscious of these limitations and to consciously work within them. All right, we all have limitations. Our life has limitations. And so what Saturn helps us do is see them and then see exactly what we can do within those constructs. And so it makes it a great day for setting intentions to use our mind in constructive ways. Again, maybe planning, maybe things that, again, we can think about or discipline ourselves to learn about, to be patient with, to communicate with a healthy level of reserve, constructiveness, maybe challenge ourselves with our routine, right? Doing the thing that's going to benefit us for the long term versus just the short term, right? Really good ways of working with this. And if you do feel that there is this heavier energy with the mind, it's good to see things in a realistic sense with this, which is the collective default, but also to not take it too seriously, right? Always good to see things realistically, but not too realistically where it becomes heavy or burdensome with that square to Saturn. And again, awareness can help us do that. Because once we become aware of that, then the energies start to flow more healthfully and naturally. All right, and then as we probably get into the later part of the day, feeling more of the trine to Mars. So this is, along with this, very good day for direct communications and a direct mind, and maybe some energy and momentum with that routine. Okay, so really good support there with that. I think it's this dual energy of working within those limitations, but at the same time having that assertion, that directness, right? That motivation perhaps, and even clarity in a sense in terms of what we want and how to communicate that or go about pursuing that in the routine, right? So nice trine up to Mars to support that energy. All right, now I would say the most important thing about this weekend is that we are approaching a full moon, which will be on Monday and Tuesday. So as we go through the weekend, this sort of heightened awareness, more insight perhaps coming in, more energy just in general, because it is the high point of the lunar cycle. But the full moon will be in Pisces. So this is going to be an awareness of the receptive aspects of life and further cultivating these receptive aspects like our intuition, our receptivity, and cultivating greater peace. So if you do feel that as a backdrop, I think that's a great way to segue into the full moon. All right. So everyone, have a fantastic weekend. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you all on Monday for the full moon forecast. Take care.